True. Yeah, I don't think we played in the championship, which is weird because I think we won back to back a few times. So it's not for a period of time one of us was down. Like I would win, then you would win, but it wouldn't be against each other for
No, it was
whatever reason.
against Joe.
Yeah. Oh, you already know what we gonna do. Hey. Well, if you guessing it's me, you guessed correctly. I just stay with a stallion. You would swear I was an equestrian. I'm a hitter with that pipe. Call that Nancy Kerrigan. Stay on the greenest greens. Call us vegetarians. You be on that minor league, but we smoke professionally. I do my job exceptionally. On point like a decimalist. The way I ride on the beat, man, I beat up the street. It's done so effortlessly. Yeah, so these niggas can't sleep on me. There's no inception in this. Bitch, I'm top chef. You top ramen, I'm top shelf. No last call, tell the bartender what you got left. Pour it up, don't stop there. Hold your cup, take a shot, yeah. All night we celebrate, cause we everywhere and you not there. Ha. All we do is pour it up, all night drinks.
Welcome to Atlas Balked, a weekly chronicle concerning the mundane, weird, and maybe even sometimes dramatic happenings of a simple fantasy baseball league. This podcast captures the thoughts and musings of Greg, Joe, Jack, and Tim, 4 of the 10 owners in the league. This is episode 14, entitled Racing Giraffes in Business Suits.
Don't make them mad, put a savage on them. You made him mad, he put you right back on the show. You made him mad, he put you right back where you started. Ain't got no money. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, by sucking my figures.
Welcome to Atlas Bach, episode 14. It's great to see you, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day. I know we're recording this on Tuesday. Hope you all had a wonderful day on Sunday. You all deserve it. Joe, happy Father's Day. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Jack, happy Father's Day. Good to see you.
Back at you, big guy. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Hey, Greg, I know you had a great Father's Day. Good to see you as well.
Yeah, best one in quite a few years. Happy Father's Day, boys.
That's awesome. So let's jump right into the games. We had an interesting week. Not a lot of drama like the previous week, but let's go through. We had a lot of interesting things happen during the week, and we're going to start with the Dreamers and the Jacks Wax Packs. And this was a game that really had no drama in it whatsoever. The Dreamers visited Jacks Wax Pass. They lost. They scored 43. Jacks Wax Pack scored 59.2. For the Dreamers, Trumbo, their DH, had 6 points and batted .321, went 9 for 28 with a double, 2 home runs, 4 ribbies, 7 runs, and 3 walks. Their catcher, Gary Sanchez, had, for Gary, a pedestrian week, 4.6 points, but a good point output for catchers anyway. And the Diamondbacks with the most pitching points this week at 12.4. Jacks Wax Packs really is just rolling the competition left and right. And I want to highlight 2 players here, both Washington Nationals. Daniel Murphy scored 7.2 points in the middle infield. He batted .500, went 12 for 28, had 4 doubles, a triple, a home run, 5 ribbies, 6 runs, and 4 walks. And Trey Turner did not want to be outdone in the middle infield, so he went ahead and scored 7.2 points as well. Did a little differently. He batted .272, went 9 for 33, but he did that with a double, 2 home runs, 4 ribbies, 5 runs, 5 stolen bases, a walk, and he even got caught twice. So he was running all day long. Wellington Castillo, your catcher, Jack, put up 5.8 points. Great week from Castillo. Yes. And the Dodgers put up a steady 8.6. So this one, Jack, did you even check your scores during the week?
You know me, I'm always, looking at what I could have done differently or improved on. I actually picked up Holiday and Kane. As I mentioned last week, I was starting my playoff preparations, albeit a little early. But so I picked both guys up, and of course I started a Holiday who got me a 2.8, while Kane, I think, had a 9 on the bench. So I could have done a little better there. You know what? Honestly, I'm very happy. It was a balanced effort. My middle infield is phenomenal. I was sitting there looking at that today, and 14, 15 points out of your middle infield in fantasy is nasty. And then to think that like those guys really are a middle infield for a team like that is Washington's middle infield. It's a little scam. They're not even the best players on that team. So I found myself another little challenge throughout the week, and that was trying to chase your score, which I got close to. On the other side, the Dreamers, not their best week. I got a good week against Donaldson and Gonzalez, both under twos. Those guys, they still scare me. That Diamondback staff has been nasty, and they are clicking. They could definitely work their way into the playoffs if they can get the other guys, the fill-ins to get them decent scores.
So I made a strong run at the Diamondbacks last week. So I figured, look, they're getting their asses kicked. I was tired of us going back and forth on this podcast trying to figure out, are their heads in their ass? What's going on? And so I just went, full frontal assault and pushed them hard. And we were talking Stanton. Stanton was involved in the mix. And they ended up just admitting to me that they think they have a chance at the wild card, and that's what they're going to do. And then they went and made a couple of trades with Pops, which we'll have to talk about that a little later on because I'm still trying to figure that trade out.
Well, yeah, I had a conversation with Eldon this morning, and he was talking about that trade, and I was sharing my puzzlement over it. But he seemed pretty satisfied with it. But it's interesting to hear the admission that he still thinks he has a chance for a wild card. That's a new admission that I've not heard before.
So I have a sneaky suspicion that they listen to this podcast and say they don't, because we leaned on him hard last week, and suddenly we're seeing some differences. And, he definitely has been reaching out. So, Dusty, Eldon, if you're out there, good on you, man. You listen to a good podcast.
And I'm rooting for you because at this point, I just basically realized that the only thing that's going to keep Tim out of the playoffs is them or Scott or myself holding on to that wild card spot. So go, guys, go.
To move you on to the next game, let's take a look at Bad Street. They visited Lethal Injection. This is a game that, again, kind of a snoozer. Not even kind of, really a snoozer. Now, for Bad Street, they lost. They put up 39.4 points. Lethal Injection won with 54.45 points. Interesting to note that Mikey actually won a game with more points than he really needed. I was pretty excited to see him waste a few points on this. For Bad Street, D. Gordon, the steroid-doing middle infielder, batted .434. He went 10 for 23 with a double, 4 runs batted in, 6 runs, 4 stolen bases and a walk. Total score of 6. Pops moved up on his catcher score. Last week he had a 0. This week he got 1.8. Derek Norris, so big improvement there. And his newly acquired Cub staff got him a 5.8. We go over to Lethal Injection. Anthony Rizzo, who moved back to first base for this game, actually scored 8 points for Lethal Injection at first base. He batted .416. He went 10 for 24 with 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in, 6 runs scored, 4 walks, and he was caught stealing. Brian McCann, his catcher, put up a solid 4 points, and the Indians finally started to get back, put up some decent points for our pitching staff. They put up 9.65.
Rizzo's hot.
High HQ, baby. High HQ.
Oh, no. Yeah, sure. And I meant he had a good week at the plate, too.
He's also hitting well.
Yeah.
Mikey's team starting to click. Thames is back and hitting again. That's a big piece of of the difference for him. Between him and Rizzo, almost 16 points. So that's solid. Indians solid score, 9.6. Not bad. If Mike's not packing his bags for the playoffs, I don't know what he's doing. That division is pretty much a done deal as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's official, right? So both Pops and Chris have said, I'm done. No mas, and I'm going to play for next year, right? I mean, they've come out and said that.
Some things, they'll still win a game here and there, whether they're trying to or not. They're not going to go winless for the remainder of the season.
Right. That's not I'm not criticizing them. I think they made the right choices based on where they're at.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I'm saying that the other division though is getting more and more interesting. This one less and less interesting, and this game is basically a telltale of what you're looking at in that division. You know, a couple of things that stand out in this game. Number one, personally, if I had a little more faith in Franco back at the beginning of the season, I probably would have hung on to Healy, and I'd be enjoying his 17 home runs so far, as opposed to taking the safe way out and going after Longoria. And the other thing is the Rizzo project lasted a week. It's, if you don't have the guys to make the position eligibility work, then it becomes not worth as much.
Next game, Funk and Punks visited the Omission Commission. Funk and Punks visiting team yet again lost, scoring 42 points against the Omission Commission home team, winning with 44.65 points. So the Funk and Punks top player was Sousa out of Tampa Bay. He scored 6.2 points. He batted .380. He went 8 for 21, had a double, 2 home runs, 6 ribbies, 4 runs, a stolen base, and 4 walks. Sal Perez got him 3.8 points at the catching position, and the Blue Jays came back down from their 2-week double-digit point scoring down to 6.05. The Omission Commission is just keeping their playoff hopes alive. And, Joe, I'm really interested in what you think about this game. Jonathan Scope, the middle infielder for Baltimore, scored 6.8 points. He batted .360, went 9 for 25 with a double, 2 home runs, 7 ribbies, 8 runs, and 3 walks. Real Muto really put up a stinker at 1.4 points for the week. And the Cardinals pitching staff, 5.25 points. I'm shocked that he has not even picked up a free agent pitching staff. This Cardinal staff has been weak all year long, and Joe, you're probably whispering in his ear just to keep the Cardinals because, man, I don't know how he can win with that pitching staff week in and week out.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. When I look at this game, I look at a couple of things that LJ left on the bench and would have made the difference. You know, there's a couple of players there. He plays Brandon Phillips. There's 2 points right there that he left on the bench. Valencia or Morales. You put them in there and you win the game.
Well, I look at LJ's team, and I as you were calling off the names, I hadn't really looked at their benches, and I'm just thinking, boy, who do you put in there from Kepler to Sousa to Jones to Reynolds to Phillips to Valencia to Granderson? They all seem the same to me.
I've got the same questions every week with my outfield.
At least Kutch is starting to hit. He's staying hot. Yeah,
that is a fact.
Homered tonight.
He did.
Yeah, 2 hits, 1 homer.
Let's slide over. So St. Locash visited your stadium, and again, visiting team lost 44.65. You scored 53.15. So this game was pretty much all week long. You were in a commanding position. You were even able to weather Jose Ramirez putting up a ridiculous 10.4. Went 16 for 31, 8 doubles, 3 home runs, 7 ribbies, 9 runs, a stolen base, a walk, and was caught stealing once. St. Locash's catcher Grandal put up a 1, and the Angels, which were picked up on Jack's $10, 8.25, scored 8.25 points. Pretty darn good. And Joe, your team, Will Myers, welcome back. One of our favorite players, put up 6.8 for you. Went 8 for 22 with a double, 2 home runs, 6 ribbies, 3 runs, 3 stolen bases, and 4 walks. And that just seems like a typical Will Myers line. That's beautiful. Your two-headed monster of Contreras and Posey put up a 6.4, so big points there. And your Nationals put up much lower than usual, 7.15. I mean, you were up, I think, 13 points last week. Good work there. And, one of the things I noticed about your team on this, Joe, is it was a balanced effort. You really didn't have anyone go off in a ridiculous manner, but everybody contributed at a high level. Greg was talking about McCutch, giving you 6 points on there. Myers, obviously, 6.8, but you had Correa with a 5.4, Machado with a 4.4, Garcia with a 5. I mean, all across the board, it looked like everyone was just doing their job and contributing, and no one really dogged it.
And contrary to what I just said, I didn't really leave a lot of points on the bench. I could have gotten some more out of the DH position, and consequently, Pujols is not playing there this week. Just hoping for an early return from Trout.
Well, what is the latest forecast? July? Is that what I heard?
He wants to be back before the All-Star break.
All right.
He's going to start swinging this week and see how that affects his rehab.
Swinging. I don't think, adopting an alternative lifestyle is the thing to do if you want to get back to the lineup or whatever.
They say it keeps you limber.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you take Trout, and again, that's obviously a big, teller. You take Trout and drop him into this lineup, and Joe has any distance at all between him and these other two guys, then Joe is the best team in that division. That said, the other two guys, a secondary class, I think that either of them could easily end up with the wild card. And if it ended today, it would be one of them with the wild card. Anything can happen. But like I said, you drop Trout into that lineup, the way his guys are playing right now. Like I said, there's some, you can only not believe in Moustakas so many weeks in a row of 4.5s and 5s before you just give in and say, okay, he's back, he's good, he's solid. McCutchen, you almost started to get used to expecting mediocrity out of him. So when he started, you're like, oh my God, hey, I'm getting points out of McCutchen, which is just a weird thing to even go through. But now he's stabilizing and continuing it. So again, you just, I think Greg put it, you almost added an all-star outfielder if he can keep it up. So Joe's team definitely scares me moving forward, especially thinking, with the realization that his best player is still not playing for him right now.
Well, what's your thinking on? I'm curious about this. What's your thinking on? I've got two of those players you just mentioned, Moustakas and McCutchen, are prominently being bandied about as trade bait. Does that help them or hurt them?
By you or by Major League?
By the Major League.
In Major League, yeah. That's always a good. In fantasy, I always want a guy that's being, talked of or talked about. Generally, I mean, I guess if you're an emotional midget, it could get to you. But for the most part, generally, you'll see a rise in stats. They'll put a little extra kick in there for whatever the case may be, and especially when they go, it's not as important in my opinion as final year of contracts, but it is something that come into play. I guess it has negatively affected guys as well, though. I guess now I'm thinking back on a few.
See, I think what I wonder about is where they actually go.
Those two guys, you can't get. I mean, really, between the parks, the teams, the talent around that, it's not going to go down. Probably the chances that McCutchen,
I don't think so either.
Worse situation than Pittsburgh is. What's he going to be, a fucking Philly?
I heard Moustakas to the Red Sox.
I would like that. Kung Fu Panda just went on the DL tonight. So.
Did.
What?
Yep. Devin Marrero is at Kauffman Stadium today. They called him up, but I don't think that's for a playoff team. I don't think you have a 20-year-old kid or 19-year-old kid, who still hasn't even grown into his body yet over at the hot corner. So for me, when I heard Moustakas to the Red Sox, I was pretty excited.
I would be too.
Yeah, I would be too.
Great discussion. On to the last game. We had Mr. Blonde's Heroes visiting 47 Ronin, and this was a tough loss for the Blondes. He was on a bit of a run there and lost 49.15 to 65. This is really interesting. The top players for each team were part of a preseason trade. So Jose Abreu put up a 7.4, first baseman for Mr. Blonde's Heroes, batting .413. Went 12 for 29, 2 doubles, a triple, which that guy's huge. Like that must have, he hit it through the wall? I don't get it. Hit a home run, 9 ribbies, 7 runs, and 2 walks. Matt Wieters put up a 3.6. Matt Wieters is like the human mean of catcher scores. Like it seems like every week, whatever the average is of the other 7 catchers, that's what Matt Wieters scores. And the Yankees finally let you down at 6.35.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I only have myself to blame. My 2 highest scoring players were both on my bench. They were my guys who I picked up in waiver wire acquisitions here, Logan Morrison and Matt Adams, and they've both been hot of late. And I looked at some metrics that led me to conclude that they wouldn't have great weeks. And I was just flat wrong,
Oh.
Morrison looks, my God, I mean, there are late bloomers. We were talking about it last week. Maybe he's a late bloomer, maybe he's on drugs. Who knows? But as long as he keeps hitting out, now he's in the lineup, But, they're both back in the lineup and off to good starts this week, too.
And Logan Morrison be a post type sleeper? Like, he was. Remember, he was in our league when he was 21. He's 29.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's doing what we thought he was going to do at 23, 24. There's something weird going on in Major League Baseball, guys. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
well, it's that launch angle thing, isn't it?
I don't know. There's something weird because it may be, but I mean, there's just so many strange things going on with power numbers this year, and the players that are hitting. It's super strange. Like, we've got these really young guys, and then we have these guys that have been around forever that really have never hit.
Like Yonder Alonso.
Alonso.
I had them both. I traded Yonder away this week, but him and Morrison were very similar players.
Yes.
I mean, Alonso a little higher average.
Right.
Matt Adams.
Matt. Well, Matt. Yeah, he had power, but Matt, I can kind of make sense of it in my mind because Adams lost weight coming into the season. He worked on his conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
The guy always had a little thump, and now he's maybe worked on his conditioning sufficiently. But Morrison and Yonder Alonso, I mean, those guys must have each had, 5,000 at bats in the majors or 4,000 at bats in the majors, and they are. I mean, Morrison had a 20+ home run year, I know, but they're on 40 home run pace, both of those guys.
No, there's definitely we're on pace to break the record, and then some in Major League Baseball. This is by far the most home runs that we've seen in a season ever. And again, I keep it's coming up more and more. They're going back to that All-Star game that Tim brought up, and since then, in fact, that same site actually, I was reading some today about the ball and being juiced again and bringing it all back up. But yeah, they're I mean, this year specifically, even more so, and it's been slowly inclining. So maybe it's a combination of these things, the realization of launch angle with the juiced ball, but yes, we are seeing a surge like we haven't seen before, even during the craziness.
It's just this feels very strange, and to see rookies come up and do what they're doing. So we've talked about Judge, but have you guys been watching what my rookie first baseman Bellinger's doing?
Nasty.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
It's bonkers.
Quickest ever.
Yeah.
Quickest at 51 games, 21 home runs. He's Topps made a special baseball card for him today. It's on sale today and tomorrow till 5:00 p.m. and then it goes away and it'll never exist again. And it's
what do you get cell phone alerts from Topps? How did you know that?
They were talking about
as
it on
I'm
the show
listening,
today.
like where the fuck do I get one of those? Like I was totally into it.
Jack hangs out at 7-Eleven.
They were actually talking about it on I think it might have been Reynolds talking about it, but anyway, that they 21 home runs in 51 games, the fastest ever. So yeah, while everyone's over here watching Judge launch them, and he does, this kid's over here, and again, a Dodger. These guys it's ridiculous the young talent that they shove into this league year in year out.
Well, and he's doing it in Dodger Stadium. He's not in a freaking
the opposite way.
Yeah. He's not like Judge where you hit a long fly and it goes out of that little bandbox. I mean, he's slugging home runs and he's got the weirdest bat stance. It reminds me of the Nintendo baseball games where they had the Japanese players and they had that one Japanese player that had a straight up stance. You ever see Bellinger has the weirdest stance?
I haven't noticed. Is it Craig Counsell like?
No, he literally stands straight up. There's no bend in his knees whatsoever, and the bat is up. And then when the pitch comes, he bends down and hits it.
They today we're talking about his the thing that stands out the most for with the veterans and the coaches and so on and so forth is just his baseball knowledge. It's not, he got called up because of an injury. He was not supposed to be here yet. That wasn't the plan. And so the last thing they expected was for him to be as knowledgeable of the game as he is for as young as he is. And they're saying that, obviously the 21 home runs are impressing them as well. But this guy's not going anywhere now. I mean, he's pretty much locked. I mean, it would take a huge change in the direction to even consider sending him back down.
Well, Jack, what do you think that means? His baseball knowledge is off the charts. I mean,
well, his dad played.
Well, like what?
His dad was in Major League.
By the time you get to the majors,
maybe he's 21. I mean,
I know, but you've been playing baseball all your life. He knows where the cutoffs are. He knows, I mean, what do you learn? What baseball knowledge do you acquire at the major league level, other than what Crash Davis told Nuke on the bus about how to answer vaguely during interviews?
Let me kind of put it this way. So you've been in management and leadership positions for 15 years, right? Have you learned anything over the last 6 months?
No.
He's already perfect.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You're learning all the time, for sure.
Right, and what you're learning over the last 6 months was very different than what you learned when you knew you had to make sure people showed up on time and produced the way they produce. In other words, now one of the reasons, knowing about your work history and how you were able to advance so quickly, your knowledge of management and dealing with people was advanced, which is why you moved so quickly. In fact, you jumped a level, much like Bellinger, quite frankly, now that I think about it, Greg. In the management ranks, you are, Bellinger-like. But I think the other thing is that, one thing.
Calling.
We'll do a 1 minute card. Having coached primarily lacrosse, but having coached, the kids of coaches are advance more quickly. They're able to assimilate what you're saying and put it into action more quickly. And so Bellinger, I think with his dad having played in the major leagues, which is the pinnacle, right? The adjustments that the pitchers are making, it's as if Bellinger knows what those pitches are. If you look at a heat map that has, I think it's 12 squares in it, the way they lay it out, he's got one square that is under 350. So it's as if he's aware of what the pitcher's plan is against him, whereas most kids his age are just trying to put the bat on the ball. There's one other thing I like about this kid, and it has much more to do with aesthetics. But in professional sports, I was just thinking about growing up in the 70s and all the different batting stances, and in football, all the different ways that quarterbacks threw, and it just seemed like there was a lot more personality in the way people approach their game. And it seems like now that's been kind of ground out by 95% of the game. Most batting stances look exactly the same. I mean, I remember getting up to the plate when I was a kid, and Carl Yastrzemski, he would spin his bat around in a very weird way. And I practiced that because it was such a signature move. And it wasn't a signature move in terms of like, I'm going to copyright that and you're going to pay me if you use it. It's more like he grew up doing that and got comfortable with it. And what I see with Bellinger is I see this super odd stance that just looks strange. Like, I don't know. I couldn't hit a fastball. I couldn't hit a changeup on the major league level. And this guy is standing straight up with the bat almost vertical, and is able to hit fastballs inside. It is the weirdest thing.
So, yeah, I mean, and I was trying to be humorous, but, I'm genuinely curious, like what additional baseball knowledge or, what that means, what that looks like. But to your point, Tim, is it that he or he's smart enough and he's processing what the pitchers are trying to do to him because he's smart or because he's advanced mentally, or is he just better? I mean, does he have better hand-eye coordination, a faster bat? Ability to reach pitches that other guys can't,
9 times out of
I don't know.
9 times out of 10, when you got a 21-year-old that wasn't supposed to be up, that's got 20 home runs in his first 50. Yes, that's the situation. He's just, he's quick. He's a little bit of luck, so on and so forth. And obviously that exists. No other human being has ever done what he's done in this game. But the combination, and that's the scary part, is if it stopped there, which it should, then they figure him out. He goes down. They send him back down, so on and so forth. And it's still possible. It's early.
And Trevor Story's not having a great year.
But the fact that this knowledge of the game, the ability to see the next move, the next situation, the next pitch, so on and so forth, if that truly exists, and it's the difference between Bryce Harper and every other guy that came up, or there's things that separate these guys physically and mentally, their abilities to know what's happening, to realize the pitches as they're in advance, to know what's coming, to be able to. There's so much that happens in this friggin' game in such a short amount of time, and it's especially playing it when we're kids and shit, to consider that it's just like Tim said, walking up there looking cool in your stance and swinging the bat. Well, sure, but when you get to this point in the game, and you got well, I guess he doesn't have Kershaw, but you got Max Scherzer, bearing down on you. There's a whole lot more to it than I hope I hit this ball. So
but to go back to our original line of kind of conversation was Tim was saying something weird's happening, and Jack, you're saying that we're on a record pace for homers. Bellinger's talented. He didn't come out of nowhere. Judge didn't come out of nowhere. Gary Sanchez, but they weren't like, crushing records in the minor leagues, and they're just maybe, I know we've talked about it over the series. Like, is it a nutritional thing? Is it a physical training type of thing? Are we naive though to not even be discussing? I know we've talked about it, joking, and we think about the name of our damn league. Are we naive to totally discount the possibility that there's a new, more sophisticated way to cheat or to blood dope or something like that?
There could be. Well, Joe said it. He rocked my world. He said it probably 6 or 7 episodes ago. We're in the new PED era. We just don't know it yet. Like, we don't know what it is. So it's pretty cynical and dark when you really think about it. But it's it's okay. Well, just to finish this up, Edwin Encarnacion did score a 9.8.
Hey.
Yeah, he's going to go 9 for 23 with 4 home runs, 10 ribbies, 10 runs, 8 walks, and a single, just for good measure.
Clearly motivated to face his old team that cast him aside.
That maybe that shifted. I love his parrot run too, man. I love that. Travis d'Arnaud put up a meager 2.2 for my catcher, and the Astros put up more than the Cubs, which is all I wanted, at 8.6.
Dude, you scored 65 points.
Yeah,
stop it.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it's
you've got 23 right now.
Yeah, this week's already over. It was supposed to be this huge, exciting game.
It's only Tuesday.
Encarnacion, I didn't realize how common this start is for him, having nothing to do with Cleveland. This guy he's like, I don't fucking know. I don't know why. I wish it would fucking go away. I'd love to play this fucking game for the extra month like everyone else gets to, but fuck it. Yeah, that's scary. Him making those numbers up for the rest of the season, anywhere near the pace that he's on, is scary. Obviously, 65 points is just fucking ridiculous. Betts, Blackman, and Harper. I mean, Bellinger now, you just add a fucking 8 to your score. I'm fighting to keep my spot. I don't know that I'm going to win this division. But I do expect to go to the playoffs. So at one point I'm rooting for the Dreamers and the commission and hoping that you just hit a couple of stumbling blocks along the way. With my luck, I'll be rooting for them all year and then have you pass me in the last week of the season and have one of them grab the wild card spot, find myself on the outside.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Your team.
I mean, this is a really interesting point in the season where everybody is. We're still close enough that we don't know who's going to win what. I was just going to say, especially in my division, everybody's within 2 games of each other, and both of those teams have been unluckier than I. I mean, I have the fewest points against in my division. I have the most points scored, but it's ridiculous how I've been winning some of these games without my best player. You know, you've got a bigger lead than I do, Jack, in your division. You're scared to death that all of a sudden the Tim's team of the last 3 weeks, including this week, is the one that is really Tim's team, which I kind of thought at the beginning of the year. You know, I understand your pain. I mean, I can see exactly what you're saying. You're rooting for the Mondays and Scotty to catch up to me, but you're also in danger of being passed in a way.
No, I want
unless you can
too.
continue what you've been doing.
No, you're supposed to win. You keep winning, and then so you and Mike win the division. It's the wild card. There's only 4 teams that are going to the playoffs,
right?
And Mike's one of them. So there's 3 spots left. If you can continue to win, that leaves 2 spots, one for our division winner and then one for the wild card. At this point, obviously, if the season ended, which if anybody wants to put it in a vote, let me know. Then I would win the division and the wild card would go to one of those 2. I'm not even sure which one of those 2 at this point. I just know that they're ahead of Tim, but I don't expect that to last much longer. And that's the scary part. So, you know, I just keep looking over there saying, God, I hope that they're not starting Tommy Joseph again. And there he is in their damn starting lineup once again. This is the perfect scenario for it to happen. It's not you up by 3 games and my team overachieving. It's your team is the team that's supposed to win this division. You are the team that's scoring the most points now, and you're below me. So that is generally, yes. Any other scenario, any other team, any other division I'm on top of, I'm very little, because I'd rather be Joe right now and give the game and be 2 games up than 3 games up versus you.
Do you 2 play one another again, or is this the last game?
This is the last game. My last game is against Greg.
Okay. Lucky you.
My last game. Well, what we did was.
Wait, you're saying lucky
No,
Tim
I'm saying lucky you,
me?
Greg.
Oh yeah, I get to play spoiler.
And then Jack will play LJ. So it's basically repeat of the playoffs last year. We'll see. I mean, this is a huge game this week. If I lose this week, my chances for even a wild card. I just need wins, and I'm not looking at it. Like every move I made was for the wild card. It's to beat the Mission Commission, the Dreamers, and anyone else in the division. That's I don't even really look. I mean, I see you on the top, and I grimace, but
yeah, I could see you say you were probably saying that until the end of baseball yesterday, and then again, I know it's Monday, Tuesday now, but yeah, you're up by quite a bit. If you lose this week, then yes, then right. I will.
There's 7 games left. You're 1 game out of the wild card.
Right. No, that's what he's saying.
Well,
he expects to. Yeah, he's preparing for the wild card, but I still see a scenario after this week, and I guess my team is starting to come back a little bit tonight. But if you continue this pace, I will not be able to keep up. And by the end of the week, you'll be 2 games down. And then, now you're, 2 games with, you could definitely make it up. I'm not confident at this point. I'm obviously worried about my guys. And, if I score 59 every week, then I expect to win most of the time. So that's basically what I'm trying to do now.
But looking at it objectively, do you expect Tim to keep up this pace?
Yes. A future book to be written by Tim Moscato. It's called To the Mean. What is it?
Regressing to the Mean.
Yeah. There you go. So Tim's team has had guys that have done so poorly in Encarnacion. The expectation is now that they're going to start clicking. All of a sudden, he's going to start scoring. I could definitely see Tim in the 50s for more than half of the games left. So
I think that's possible, but I mean, that's baseball. I mean, the Cubs are they're under 500. I mean, it takes 1 injury, 1 cold streak, one teammate carelessly wrecking and killing himself in a boating accident that cancels games, so you guys can't play. That could cost you.
Well, anything can happen, obviously, but he's done a good job as well of beefing up his bench, and that's a big deal too. So when you talk about injuries, yes. So you look at Tim's score and you say, this week, he's already at 23 points. So what happens if he loses one of his outfielders? Well, this week the answer is he puts in Charlie Blackmon. So the fact that you can afford to put Charlie Blackmon on your fucking bench ever means that you have a pretty stocked team. Bellinger.
Why would you put that magnificent beard on your bench?
Fact that he's been down, and I expect it to continue. The depth of his team now, and then the new ads that nobody expected, and then don't forget he just went and got a staff.
Well, that's the plan. Obviously, I want to make sure that staff pays dividends, but let's take a break here. Go ahead and get some refreshments and come back and bullshit a little more.
The hardest nigga I know, he from Okie Dog crib. When he get up out the pen, better hope he don't trip. Teriyaki up pastrami, he was always in some beef. A legend to this day, they talk about him in the streets. It's not a real hood, it's something that he made up to piss gangbangers off, cause he never gave a fuck. He wore white pro wings with pink and green strings and dare anybody on the shore to say a thing. Seen him knock a lot of dudes out with one swing. By his side, he always kept the baddest bitch you ever seen. Made his first million by the age of 17, running credit card scams, never touched a triple beam. He was the king.
So Tim, me and Tim usually get into these. I don't know, for whatever reason, he's been the my nemesis, and now it's weird because I don't remember a scenario like this where I'm up on him by a slew of games trying to hold him back. It's usually at least back and forth situation, or I'm trying to catch him as of late, and so. Going into, as the week went on last week, like I said, I was up by so much that I wasn't really competing with the Dreamers anymore. I was competing with Tim, and I would get on, and that's what I would check. I would look at my score, look at Tim's score. I'm like, oh, I'm catching him. Oh, I'm going to score more. And so that's my little game now. So then
you're like Barry fucking Switzer. Listen to you. Like, I wasn't competing with the team I was engaged in a contest with. I was competing against possibility.
I'm just
right.
So then I go and I'm very nonchalant now, and I'm winning by loads of points, and which is it's always comforting going to the weekend knowing that it doesn't fucking matter how bad your guys do. And then I noticed that I played him, and I was like, motherfucker. Immediately, like all of last week came back. I'm like, God damn it, I might have played this a little different. I might have said this differently if I didn't fucking realize it was coming so quick. So then all of a sudden now I have this extra stress on my lineup, and I'm like, oh fuck. All right, let's see. If it's possible to get an extra jab in, I try. So I wanted to start the Red Sox. It would have felt better if I beat Tim using the Red Sox. But Kershaw had 2 starts this week, so I had to go with Dodgers. But so Desmond was the last guy I had in my lineup that I took out. So he'll be the one to watch if I had Desmond in and I took him out the last minute. So we'll see.
You're like the Sun Tzu of fantasy sports.
This guy is so far beyond, right?
Damn.
That he has to find games within the games to keep himself interested.
That's not true.
He is no. This is he does look at that stuff, and he will make roster decisions based on previous trades. If you like the player, don't like the player.
I told myself that if every one of my position players didn't beat my opponent's position players, I would put a clothespin in the soft part of my armpit and wear it around the day.
This year seemed like it was going to be a lot closer all the way through. I didn't expect teams to be shutting down or throwing in the towel, although I didn't pick my brother or LJ or Mike's dad to win. It does seem to be closing down a little earlier. That said, there's a lot more. There were seasons where me and Tim were already talking about the playoffs, between the two of us at this point in the season, and been built up over the years. It used to be Mike. For whatever reason, me and Mike had this back and forth situation, and then Tim kind of pushed Mike out of the way and took his role, and then ultimately took my role because Mike was the winner in the league for many years. Kind of passed the torch on to me for many years, and now, like I said, Tim's become the guy that everybody wants to take out. So again, it's weird to have the at one point I look at the records and, I start feeling bad for the fucking guy. And then I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. This is the fucking, he would cut your fucking throat for fantasy baseball, in fantasy baseball only.
I think it was LJ said a couple weeks ago, taking money from your friends is way better. Like that's just so meta. I just can't get it out of my head, what he said. I know sometimes I'm little boy blue. I'm crying, over, what's going on. But the reality is that, it's a fun sport, but I'm always chasing Jack. I always am. I'm having my little run right now. Although this year, I appreciate it, Jack, but this year I'm just not making the disciplined moves like I have in the past. There's been a lot more emotion involved. I mean, obviously having a meltdown on last week's podcast out there for everybody to see, it's like a freaking emotional tornado. Just, oh, poor boy. It's just, it's all me. So, for me.
Welcome to the world of full employment.
That said, you're not, you haven't panicked either. You've made some moves. You've, you may have given up, years down the line, a little much for the Astros, who knows, but you haven't panicked either, and your lineup doesn't look much different from the lineup that most people pick to win at the beginning of the season. So it's not like you all of a sudden, holy shit, things aren't going well, I got to get rid of Harper. Let me fucking move Blackman. Let's get rid of Betts. I mean, so you still have the foundation that was expected to be able to do what they're doing now, and now they're doing it. So,
but I you talked about the emotion of this and the podcast and the playing the podcast, and I'd be lying to every one of you. Having this podcast and having a horrible record and having tough losses and not looking good has I have allowed that to get into my emotional kind of approach. Like that I thought that one of my advantages is I was fairly stoic about the way I constructed the team, and I have not, I kind of allowed that emotion to break through and enter my kingdom. And,
you still don't see the Steinbrenner analogy.
No, I did. I totally did.
I
think I actually admitted it on the last one, which, but I get, for me, this podcast definitely changed the way I'm much more difficult on myself. I mean, look, I'm nobody's child, right? Like, we're all trying to figure this out, but the reality is that it's been
cries
fascinating.
Himself to sleep 3 nights a week. Gentle sobs in his pillow.
Less lately, but those first handful of weeks were probably rough for the dog.
So, and look, I'm under no illusions. Like, the reality is that people want to take me out.
It also pisses people off that they spend fucking half the summer fucking going through books. There it is, another home run for Bellinger. Going through books, and then all of a sudden you just fucking trot into the fucking draft and snatch the fucking next Babe Ruth. So, take it easy on everybody, man.
I just wish that and I'm not saying they're not trying, but I wish that Scott and the Dreamers would, try to really seize upon their opportunity to clinch that wild card, because it almost, to me, I don't talk to Scott really that much ever, but talking to the Dreamers, it seems like, again, they're not throwing in the towel completely, but they're conceding to Tim. Jack, you're almost conceding to Tim. You're up 3 games on him.
And see, I don't get that at all, because they shouldn't even be conceding to me at this point.
Right, I agree. I mean, they're so fucking close. I mean, and it is baseball, and an injury away, a deadline deal in the real league has impact. A Trout goes down. Gosh, they're so close to being in the playoffs that it seems a shame that they're not really pushing the envelope. I mean, the Justin Bauer trade aside.
Perhaps what they thought was that I was just going to start losing left and right when Trout went down, and they were going to win it by default.
No, I don't even think they're thinking about this year. I mean, the record that I keep hearing played, and we know Scott loves young players. In the Mondays, at least to me, they've expressed that no, we can't part with this young talent. It's all about 5 years from now. It's like, but wait a second, you're in the chase today.
Okay,
Right, but they're listen. The thing is, and like I said, it's just a very unique circumstance and situation. Number one, the way our divisions are built, and number two, the placement of who happens to be in each division. If they were in separate divisions, if one of them was in the McGuire, the Bonds, whatever one they're not, then there might be a little bit more motivation. So if you look at it from this example, there's 4 teams that are going to make the playoffs. If I was on the outside looking in right now, I would want to be chasing me or Mike out of the 4, in my opinion. So I think Joe with Trout coming back and Tim with starting his 60-plus point run, if you're paying attention, me personally, those are the 2 that they're competing against. They have to either beat Joe or Tim, not me, and assuming that I'm winning the division, which is, again, not even a safe assumption at this point, but not me, not Mike. Mike isn't going to affect them, so they're basically competing. So I could see, again, you log on, you look at Tim's score, you're like, fuck, that guy's a game behind me, or is it a game, 2 games?
It's a lot, dude.
Well,
you're a
Jack,
game back.
You're
behind
3
them,
games ahead of Tim right now.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about from their point of view. They're looking at Tim saying this fucking guy's about to take the wild card. I could see that. The worst case scenario in this game, other than bragging rights, you get to say I made the playoffs, but is 4th place. 4th place fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Because 4th place gets you no money and gets you in the fucking Griffey division the following year. So
and I would add to that, it's not wrong to say, okay, 2 years from now, I'm going to be good for 5 years if I hang on to this group that I have. Right. Why would I break that up to try and win against a team that's better than me right now?
And that's what I think. That's what I assume. I have no fucking idea. I don't know.
You're wrong. You're all wrong, Jack. You're giving them way too much credit. You use the phrase "if they're paying attention." They're not. They're not paying attention. But they want to build these steamrollers these idealistic steamrollers that are going to just dominate the league and win going away. Dream of that. No pun intended for the dreamers. The dream of that is more appealing than the possibility of scratching and clawing your way into the playoffs in real time, which to me is un-American.
I could bust your 8, I'ma do 1, 2, fuck it, gun do. When you do make bucks, I'ma look right, nigga, bet you do 1, 2, fuck them like you do 1, 2, come. You gated, get discovered, I'm a 2, 1, deuce, cock. A licking in the water by the blue bayou, caught the warm goose, and you do rag too, son. Nigga, you're a Kool-Aid dude, plus your bitch might lick it, wonder who let you come to 1, 2. What you do to crew, son? Fuck are you into, huh? Niggas better run, you could get shot, homie, if you do 1, 2, put your guns up.
Okay, Balkers, well, fact of the matter is we tried to do an interview by text and it went about as well as you could imagine. The positive is we actually got Eldon on the podcast, which is a plus, but you listen for yourself and know it's not great radio, but we got Eldon. Okay, so he said sure. So what do you want to ask?
Radio
what do you
showing text
we'll yeah, sorry. So
are you gearing up for a serious run at the wild card?
Gearing up for a serious win at the wild card. This is going to fucking suck to edit, but okay. At the wild card. Okay. So this just in from Eldon on text. My only path to the playoffs is the wild card. So therefore he thinks Joe's got the division. Just like everyone else, I will know how serious I am over the next 2 weeks.
So that's a no. He's not gearing up.
No, he's feeling it out. He wants to see if I lose this week or next week, and if he gets a game closer, maybe he makes a move. Ask him if what does it take for him to think he has a chance? Does it take a couple of losses by me or a couple of commanding wins by him?
Makes no sense.
I'm not going to fault somebody for looking at it the way he is. When you're behind, it's different than when you're ahead. I'm ahead right now. I'm thinking, okay, I've pulled out these magical wins. I've got 7 wins in a row after starting 1 and 3. Do I deserve some of those? No. Oh, Tim's got an answer.
Reardon is very strong in my division and seems to just keep pounding the ball and will be tough to catch.
If I'm looking at my team from an outside perspective, I see. Okay, I won a game last week with a pretty good point total with a really crappy pitching performance. If I had my normal or my last 3 weeks pitching performance, I'm at 60 as well. And I've been consistently in the same range for a while. And sometimes that's what it takes to go through the playoffs. Now, I'm looking at it from the inside. I can't look at it from the outside. I have no confidence, but I can see why they think that. Bill, if they don't think they can win the championship this year, why would you go all in to try and come in second or third?
What a fatalistic attitude, though, Joe. I mean, that's
it's a realistic attitude.
I know, but in real baseball, shit happens. And teams at the trade, there's a lot of buyers at the trade deadline whose odds may not be as solid as the teams leading the divisions at that point. But they recognize that even getting that close, even being in a position to make the playoffs, and then you know what, you catch fire for a freaking week, or Stanton blows a knee, or Trout goes down like he did. You know, I mean,
they got, like I said, I said it last week. They got Sanchez. That guy gives you 7, 8, 9 points. Then yeah, you could essentially beat anybody. In the right week. I don't hate the board deal, honestly. I mean, Cargo has, he did give up a little bit, but the guy's got fucking 18 home runs, whether he's going to continue it or not, but at least he did something. I mean,
so when he said Reardon is very strong in the division and be tough to catch, I said, I agree. That's for me. I personally think you have a great shot at the wild card. What do you wish you had to be confident in the wild card? And he said, to win the wild card, I need the other teams to keep trading wins. So the understanding of like beating each other up. Moscato can't pitch, but still scores 50 isn't helping my cause. So he's definitely aware that I'm kind of in the battle with him. So I said, hang in there. Second, Jack and Joe are commenting. Jack and Joe agree with you too. Jack loves Sanchez. He said, I need Bourne to pan out and Sanchez to be a consistent contributor. Sanchez needs to play every game. I would like Sanchez to get some more time at first. I need Bauer for 6 weeks until Freddie returns. Oh, that's right.
Well, I guess my question is, what more could he do outside of, you know what I mean? Like that, like Donaldson's back. Assuming that Story, all of a sudden you get, he's a tough guy to give up on.
So Joe, he has a question for you. He said, please ask Joe how long he believes he can ride McCutchen.
Don't have any intention of not riding him unless he just all of a sudden falls off the map for like 2 weeks in a row.
So he said, Joe is playing all the right matchup this season. Top manager in my mind this year.
I like that.
Well, thank him for me. I appreciate that.
Anybody that can get 5 points a game out of fucking Mustaka is fuck.
That's why I picked Joe to win it all. I'll say it again.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I am I'm comfortable with what they're doing. I kind of missed that the Bohr thing, and again, he's not going to win you a championship or anything, but at least they're making a move. They're doing something. I don't know that I would sacrifice my future for this season. I won't do it now.
You basically play a redraft style game in a dynasty league. You've adapted that to the dynasty rules. It's an interesting hybrid. And we talked about how we couldn't do it together because we had such different philosophies. I mean, it really came down to, giving up a young, talented kid for a solid major leaguer. We just could not see eye to eye. Yet there's two paths to the same goal, and quite frankly, you have more hardware than I do over the years. So I did ask Eldon, has playing fantasy baseball changed the way you watch actual baseball? And he said, yes, I try to watch the game now looking for guys not in the limelight, but that are performing well with upside. I watched 5 college games the last 2 weekends.
Nice.
So I asked Eldon, Jeter, legend or douche?
Oh, my God.
Jeter's the man. Incredible leader on and off the field. Incredible clutch player. Dated every hot woman he wanted and never ended up on a police blotter inW York.
So
did he say Jeter was douche. McCartney?
Douche.
No. Jeter's the man.
I can't believe this fucking kid hit another home run today in his first at bat. Yeah.
Judge had a home run today.
Oh, did he?
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I've shifted.
Sanchez and
I'm a
Judge both hit
Bellinger.
home run.
I've moved from Team Judge to Team Bellinger.
I'm still Team Edward. I love those sensitive vampires. So dreamy. It's a Twilight thing, Joe. You would understand.
So Eldon said, "You've now left my wheelhouse. I know who they are, but I'm not a music guy."
He knows who they are. Yeah.
Look at Jack's face.
like that's even like.
Oh, I'm all in with Greg now. These guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah, it's like I know I've heard of them, but I can't really speak to if they're any good.
He's just not a music guy, man. He's just not a music guy.
Oh,
Look, I mean, come on. Eldon was like this guy. He went to war for us. He friggin' taken down crack houses in L.A. During the riots. I mean, he's the fucking.
I
real
love
deal.
Eldon. You know, Eldon and I used to have foot races, you know, in our business attire. I challenged him to a foot race. We marked off 40 yards in the parking lot of where we were working, and we had a foot race in our business suits.
The Rich Eisen 40-yard dash.
And it was close. He beat me. He edged me out of the tape. But you know, that just beating me barely wasn't enough for him, because you know he was a very accomplished runner, and I was a former runner who was falling on hard times, and he said, "I will smoke you in a 40-yard dash." And I was like, I think it'll be pretty close. And it was close. And so then the next week, he had us running like 3 laps around the parking lot in our business attire. I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. You're going to, I mean,
So now now that you've been eating better and paying attention, do you think you could take him?
No, I mean, God, no. I mean, he's not running, I think, to the same degree that he was before, but I'm still recovering from my knee surgery, you know. But no, he's built to run. He's a great runner.
I don't run anywhere on purpose.
I mean, you know, I don't know how much you guys know about the Boston Marathon, but, you know, they only.
It's on Patriots Day.
Well, they have a limited number of entries every year, and you have to qualify for the Boston Marathon by time. And that is no joke for you know, elite athletes, non-professional marathoners to qualify for Boston is really impressive. Well,
he's got some getaway sticks, man. Like, for you to be that close, and he's got those long legs. I mean, every stride is probably 2 times yours.
Wow, he's done a giraffe.
Anything else?
9 feet tall.
All right. Well, we start talking about 9-foot tall giraffes. We know it's time to say goodnight. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bitches ain't shit. Bitches ain't shit.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck the dick. Let's get the fuck out after you're done. And I hops in my ride to make a quick run. I used to know a bitch named Eric Wright. We used to roll around and fuck the hoes at night. Tighter than a motherfucking gangster beats. And we was ballin' on the motherfucking Compton streets. Peep, that shit got deep and it was on. Number 1 song after number 1 song. Long as my motherfucking pockets was fat, I didn't give a fuck where the bitch was at. But she was hanging with the white bitch, doing the shit she do, sucking on a stick just to get a buck or two. In the end, she got meant nothing, and now she's suing cause the shit she be doing ain't shit.
Bitches can't hang with the streets.
She found herself short.
Now she's taking me to court.
It's real conversation for your ass.
I once had a bitch named Mandy May. I used to be up in them guts like every day. The pussy was the bomb, had a nigga unsprung. I was in love like a motherfucker licking the proton. The homies used to tell me that she wasn't no good, but I'm the maniac in blackness, the Snoopy's word. So I figured niggas wouldn't trip with mine. Guess what? Got gaffled by one time.
I'm back in the motherfucking county jail. 6 months on my chest, now it's time to bail. I gets released on a hot sunny day. My nigga DOC and my homie Dr. Dre scooped in a coupe, Snoopy got the news. Your girl was tricky while you was drinking the county blues. Ain't been out a second, already I got to do some motherfucking chin checking. Move up the block as we groove down the block. See my girl's house, Dre, past the clock. Kick in the dough and I look on the floor. It's my little cousin Daz and he's fucking my hoe. I uncocked my shit. I'm heartbroken. but I'm still loaked.
Man, fuck that bitch.
3, 4.
Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck a dick. Get the fuck out after you're done. And I hops in my ride to make a quick run. I used to know a bitch named Eric Wright who used to roll around and fuck the hoes at night. Tired of them motherfucking gangster beats, and we was born on the motherfucking Compton streets. Beat that shit got deep and it was on. Number one song after number one song. Long as my motherfucking pockets was fat, I didn't give a fuck where the bitch was at. But she was hanging with the white bitch, doing the shit she do, sucking on his dick just to get a buck or two. In the end, so she got meant nothing, and now she's suing cause the shit she be doing ain't shit. Just can't hang with the streets. She found herself short, now she's taking me. That's some real conversation for your ass. I just can't hang with the streets. I just can't hang with the streets. I just can't hang with the streets. I just can't hang with the streets.
But like
Hey,
that.
Tim,
Right, that's fucking creepy. That's gonna haunt me. But the
wake up.
Jesus, that's creepy.
You left your window open again.